Howdy folks, it is Tuesday, September 27th, 2011. This is episode 17B of the Bad Dog Book Club. I'm Skip Ruddertail, your otter editor, and with me, as always, is...
Toonces, the driving cat. The cat who is, not thrilled about having to pilot a car again. Spent, I think, 45 minutes in traffic on the Beltway? And I don't know. I can sit and wait for a train for 45 minutes. I can sit and wait for a red light to change at a corner for 45 minutes if I had to. I can't sit in traffic for 45 minutes. I go crazy. For real.
Yeah, what Toonces is trying to say is that he's here this week.
Yeah, I'm in Columbia, Maryland.
Yeah, we're actually, doing this live together, like normal.
Yeah, from the District of Columbia.
We're a little bit late this week, but that's good because we get you. So yeah, there were some technical issues.
Yeah, my computer's broken. That's the short end of it.
His laptop died, so we're gonna get him a new one in a few months. But in the meantime, I spotted Toonces laptop.
I just showed up and took electronics, basically.
He did. It works. It's a little old. It works fine, except the hinge is terrible.
Oh my goodness.
It's tight, but it sounds excruciating.
Yeah, like nails on a chalkboard.
Like, here we go.
Oh no! Don't. Oh. Why do you?
That is the laptop hinge. So other than that, hey, you get to use a laptop for a couple months and not have to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. Free computer, and I got to eat some free food.
Yeah, we fed him. We did a filet roast tonight, twice baked potatoes, fresh pineapple, some pasta, and then after we finish the podcast, we're going to do some key lime pie and coffee. So, and normally, I should say it's not just you here, because we always have, Bun sitting over there trying to ignore us while he plays poker. But we also have...
my boyfriend, Taylor. He's out hanging out.
Yeah, Taylor's sitting here on the couch laughing at us. So this is pretty cool.
He's laughing at us because we already tried to do this once.
Yeah, a little. So this week's episode is Fireworks by Rechan, who is a mole.
A mole, yeah, that's a pretty rare choice to go with. I like that because that's bold.
It is, we're so used to felines and vulpines and canines and moustelines and
but the moles,
whatever the hell you are.
The moles aren't so popular; they're underground.
They are. Spies in our midst, double agents. Yeah, so Rechan, and he'll actually be supposedly moving down to DC.
Yeah.
Later in the winter. So he's looking forward. Right, he's a friend of Sparf, so that's why I went to Sparf and say, hey, can you read this for us? And he did a great job, of course.
Again.
Always does. Yes, he's pro, literally. So we're glad to have that reading. And you actually, because of your computer glitches, didn't actually get to see the story until today.
Oh, no, I only read it about an hour ago, right after we finished our nice dinner. And I can tell you, I liked it.
Good.
It was nice for a straight story. It was a very straight story.
Yes, for a straight story. Yeah, that was mean of me.
Always that little.
But you managed to get through it, even though it was straight sex.
It was a good story, and it was a very gay straight story, like I said.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you just step apart from
a very gay straight story.
If you step apart from what it's literally depicting, which is a dude having sex with a lady, it seems to focus more intently upon the dude and his emotions and his intents, and then ultimately during the sex scene, his body. So, it maybe describes what the lady's doing, but all of it is funneled through, how the guy is supposed to be interpreting it.
I know what you mean. I don't know. This one didn't seem like that, but you do read definitely these straight stories where, man, this is a really gay straight story.
You think so? Are these stories in the closet, or what do you think is the cause here?
I don't think so. I think, but you know what I'm talking about. You've read those,
I think dudes just don't realize how much they like dudes. I think that's what it is. I'm going to be honest with you. Dudes are awesome. Guys are hot. And I can't be,
you heard it here, folks. This is the final word.
And I'm just not sure sometimes, other guys have to realize this, right? They must be at least casually aware. Because way more than 2 to 4% of the people. I'm telling you, guys are way hotter than 2 to 4%.
What if guys are like, what if they're like super straight?
Super straight?
Do you think they're aware?
Yeah, but how many of those do you think there are?
Not a lot, but there's some, definitely. I believe that. Just like I believe there are guys like
not as many as it says. No.
Who are super gay.
I'm not even like as gay as most straight guys claim to be. Like most straight guys be like, oh no, I'd never, with a guy. Oh my goodness, never. I don't even try to like pretend like I'd never ever be with a woman. Like, oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
I could absolutely myself getting blackout drunk and making a horrible mistake and going into an escort or something at some point.
Little Toonces.
Yeah, little Toonces or something like that. But guys like, oh no, I would absolutely never.
It sounds adorable.
It sounds awful.
Little Toonces running around.
Oh my goodness.
I guess this was my one heterosexual moment. And that's the product.
I did try to pass that off in high school and all, like, because they wouldn't believe I was gay.
Yeah.
Like I tried to tell them, they'd be like, no. It was like, oh, this test is gay, this class is gay, gym class is gay. Yo guys, I'm gay. No, you're not.
Really?
We don't. Yeah, they wouldn't believe me.
You?
So I had to. Yeah, no, I swear to goodness. Well, how do you think I developed this kind of queenie demeanor? It's like the only way I could actually get dudes to like stop talking to me about pussy.
Huh.
He's like, oh yeah, that's a funny joke, Spencer, but no, really.
The projectile vomiting didn't cue them off.
No, oh my goodness. I had to train to be able to do that for like the longest time.
But it was worth it in the end.
Eventually, because they stopped asking me about ladies.
They stopped. No. Vagina.
Vaginas, yeah.
So you can't even say it, folks. Can't even.
Well,
say
what about donger? I say donger.
You do say donger.
It's much worse than vagina.
It's a very silly word.
Yeah, let's not have this argument again.
All right. No, I'm just saying it's very silly. Like, oh,
I prefer it. Skip dared me. I couldn't use the word donger in a serious sentence and keep keep a straight face, and I was doing it. But then he cracked up, and it made me laugh.
It was pretty
unfair.
fun. I think there's an inverse correlation there. The more serious the sentence, the funnier the use of the word donger in it is. Like
we're in a legal paper, like any kind of legal references to penises ought to be used, use the term donger instead.
Like the case, or it's like, donger cancer is up 53% in Iowa this year, and people. Yeah, see, you laughed. I rest my case.
I wasn't laughing at the dongers. I was laughing at the cancer.
Sure you were.
Whatever.
Oh yes, I not that there's anything wrong with donger. I like it. It amuses me, but it does amuse me.
I just think you gotta have different terms. When you're gonna refer to something a bunch of times in a story, like a dick, you gotta have like tons of terms to refer to it, and ones that might sound better in different phrases.
I feel like I've read stories where they're reaching, though. You ever get that experience? Like,
I don't think medical is too much.
Yes, absolutely. I was reading one the other day, and shoot, what term was it? Like,
scrotum. Scrotum's the worst. I never hear the phrase scrotum ever again.
Yeah, this was like, this was detailed. This was like medical textbook. Like, and I don't even read, like, Scholl something or other, and it was like, I had to Google it to find out what the hell they were talking about, and it was medical textbook grade, like, something near their perineum, or, there you go, there's a good word, perineum. Perineum.
Cowper's gland,
there you go.
No.
It's
just a bit too much.
We need to get that into a story.
The vas deferens.
She fondled his vas deferens.
It's not inside your donger?
Yeah. Not in your donger, in your balls. Or near your balls. Near your balls. Next to your adjacent to.
It's in the important region of the body.
Adjacent to, yes. It does hang out of your body, yes. That's... Yeah, so, yes, you can, I think, you can take that a little too extreme. You have to work in as many words as possible.
Well, thankfully this story doesn't do that.
You can't say cock every time, but I'm like cock, Dun-dun-dun. This is true. But, you can use cock a lot, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah. You don't have to be like, oh, I've used cock once this story.
No, it's not quite that bad, but you can't just say cock every time. Cock, 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 cock. Okay, it just gets repetitive.
You're turning me on. It does. So, no, I think, worked it out. But it's interesting what you said about, is this a kind of gay, straight story, as it were?
Does that make it a bi story, do you think?
No.
What would make it a bi? What would make it a story to appeal to bisexual people?
It's not a bi story unless there's somebody having sex with two other genders. It's not a bi story unless I'm firmly. This is one of the things that drives me buggy on So Furry. Is that I don't know if it's true anymore, but for a long time, maybe it isn't true, and I'll look like an idiot. But for a long time anyway, if you had a hermaphroditic character in your story, it would fall under the bi classification.
What? Really?
And that drove me nuts. That was back in the Yifstar days, too. It was like, no, it is not. Like, if you are a herm, that does not make it a bi story. Yep. I don't think it's the parts. I think it's the genders. Let's put it that way.
It's not a sex thing, it's a gender thing.
It's a gender thing.
All
yeah.
right.
So, no, you gotta have one gender doing things with somebody of two other genders to make it a bi story. So no, I don't think this is a bi story.
But you don't think
I would feel cheated if somebody had said, "Here is a bi story." Oh. I would feel cheated.
The guy in the story does say he's straight. And he's pretty.
Yeah, he's emphatic about it, and she believes him. But no, what I think's going on, I think you're right in that it's
he's not.
There's a lot of focus on his body. Let's get that. Let me. There is focus on his body, but because I'd say that it's chosen very strategically by Rechan, the writer, because the story is from her perspective and she is a sex worker. So when they are having sex, she is not focusing on her body beyond what her body can do for his body.
Right, she's been objectified at that point, you're saying. And she's just a tool.
She's been objectified because she's an agent in this case. Been objectified, I think, places the agency on somebody else, but she's clearly in charge here. So I think that's a little unfair.
What's she using? What's she using to take control here?
Her body.
Her body.
Right.
So that it becomes an object in this sense.
But she is using so it has been objectified, I think, is misleading. I guess what I'm trying to say is that she is choosing how to use her body to accomplish what she wants to do in this case. I mean, she is definitely the agent here. Mm-hmm. And I think to phrase it otherwise takes power away from her.
Okay. So then do you think that,
put it that way,
maybe to a degree this story is trying to normalize the concept of sex work?
I think a little bit, yeah. Because it's kind of matter of fact. I mean, it is her doing her job.
More so than it being very matter of fact, I noticed that it's very sanitized. And whenever you're reading something and everything seems almost to the point like feeling scrubbed clean, so that everything seems all right and everything is is safe and secure, which is exactly the kind of environment she wants to cultivate for David. I tend to think that it might be a rather didactic story then. So, I don't know, do you think that... I don't want to get into a political argument about whether or not it's a good thing that the story would be trying to normalize the idea of sex work. I'm trying to think in more cynical terms, actually. Mm-hmm. Do you think that makes it less hot?
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on... People like different kinds of porn. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe partially for the reader who can relate to David,
it would be comforting.
This is a comforting story, as well as being hot. And so maybe that's one of its goals here.
Is to make the hypothetical reader more comfortable with the concept of participating in sex work economy.
I don't know. I mean, you give it this very agenda, and I don't think the story has this kind of commercial agenda to it.
It's not trying to encourage the sex work.
No, I don't
economy.
think the story is explicitly going out and doing that. I don't know. I don't think it's that targeted anyway. Let's put it that way.
Maybe they had hooker vestments. That's what I don't know. What I'm saying maybe there's a vested interest here.
Maybe
a pimp wrote the story.
No, right? We'll have to ask Rechan when he gets here. So. No, I don't think there's anything that motivated there in terms of why the story's written in creating a market. Let's put it that way. But yeah, but I think you're right. Some people like porn that feels comfortable, and some people like porn exactly for the opposite reason. Some people like porn, or the same person in different moods. You know, sometimes I'll want porn that's like, oh, this is safe, or I'm like reading this because I can see myself in Bun in this scenario.
So it's more like a fantasy.
Yeah, and then sometimes you read porn and you're like, wow, you know, I would never let anybody do that to me, or I would never do that to anybody. So but it's hot because I would, in part because I would never...
So then it's not a fantasy, it's a catharsis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You think these are separate kinds of erotic energies that can maybe be used in a story? Because this one is certainly not at all cathartic.
Right.
It's outright sentimental, in my opinion. Just especially the way it portrays the American landscape, because it is, at least in a perfunctory kind of sense, sort of critical of the red state attitudes in it, but it doesn't really. It's a kind of a throwaway quip, but it seems to enshrine this whole American family values thing in a way. Because in the end, she's not criticizing David's desire to have this. Classic relationship to please his family. She's not criticizing him for that. She's sympathetic that he can't have it.
I don't know. I hear this from people in the gay community, and we get a lot of discussion about this now in the fight for gay marriage, that, we shouldn't be, and you'll hear from people, and I have several friends, who will say, oh, well, we shouldn't be fighting for marriage at all because it's patriarchal and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And there's some good arguments there, but also there's kind of a feeling on my part that is, people have a right to be happy, and just because something doesn't make you happy doesn't mean that it's a cynical institution or a flawed institution or a flawed to the point of failure, I guess, institution. And I think maybe there's some idea here, too, just because because it isn't working out for David, or because it doesn't work for everybody, and that there are problems with it, doesn't mean that it isn't something David could be happy with, or something could work for him, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that, I guess I would say. So I don't know, that's always my feeling with the gay marriage thing. It's like, if you don't want to get married, don't get married.
It's a free market.
Right. But if other people want to, you shouldn't be like, well, you shouldn't get married because it, it objectifies women. It's like, well, if I'm marrying another guy, it's hard for me to do that at the same time. But
right.
I'll try, if you want. But
it's not necessarily just the institution of marriage that he wants to get into, but maybe more so...
I was using that as an example.
I see. More so the goals he seems to have in mind for his potential partner, which he seems to really be interested in nothing more than impressing his family. Is that actually, do you think, something that is reasonable?
So many of us felt that way, though? How many times have we all done things in our lives, I think, just because it was expected of us? We felt, even if we didn't really want to.
You're saying he feels
isn't that something we've all done, I think, at one point or another? Or almost all of us?
For sure.
Yeah, and that's why I think one of the reasons the story is, very relatable, because this is obviously, it's heteronormativity, and I think you and I can really understand that. And this shows one of the ways that heteronormativity impacts not just gay people, but straight people as well. Mm-hmm. Because it's not enough that he is not gay. He has to be straight in a certain kind of way and signify it in certain kind of ways. So that's, having a girlfriend and, presumably getting married and having kids and so all these things. And even if he isn't ready yet, or he doesn't have access to that or whatever, he is still being affected by these social pressures and desires that make him very uncomfortable.
It's very clear,
even though he's straight, he is still being pressured to conform to a kind of straightness that, at least at this point in his life, he doesn't have access to.
The end of the story is she's pretty much just advising him to go to a psychiatrist and get professional help for this.
Yes.
And I don't know. it seems weird. Like, what kind of a porn story ends with that? Okay, now that we're done, you really need to go see a psychiatrist.
That's kind of funny because I caught that too. I caught that. I was like, this is kind of that caught my eye. And I will say, when I talked with Rechan online a couple days ago, I think he's either a major or working on his master's in psychology.
So there is a
maybe
point to this.
Maybe there's an agenda.
So you push him to the whore,
but it wasn't
they feel
the
bad and they come
one.
to see you.
Yeah. Oh no! Stop.
So he's not the pimp. He's not the pimp. The pimp's just a middleman in the matter.
He's not going to see, because of the whores. He's going because of these heteronormative pressures. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there's the other pressure, though, which is one of the lines that, I don't know, was kind of in some ways my favorite line, and partially because it was so pathetic, I suppose, was talking to women is hard.
Pathetic is the right term to use. I think people shouldn't be afraid to make their characters
It was
pathetic.
harrowing because, you instantly were like, this is so, right, it is so pathetic
and that's
for this guy to feel
sympathy,
that way.
Empathy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then you get that from portraying a character who's in a way pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, your heart goes out to him because there's no reason it should be. And so I think kind of to an extent, she, her little advice at the end is kind of partially random as it was, made sense, because you shouldn't feel that, or I think kind of if you are feeling like talking to women is hard, well, why do you feel that way? And it's because you have all these pressures from your family and society that every time you talk to a woman, it is loaded up with all these expectations of, what could happen. And every time you talk to a woman, we don't know, is this guy thinking every time he talks to a woman, is he thinking, oh my God, do I have to worry about, is this the one I want to get married with and have kids with, that kind of crazy thing.
Right. It's a lot easier to
I think it's easy for me as a bi guy, because it's just like, well, they're all equally hard or equally easy, I suppose.
It's incredibly easy for me to talk to women as a gay dude.
You don't care about getting in their pants.
No, I don't, and I discovered very early on that you can say whatever offensive thing you want to women so long as you suck dick. I guess that's like the home base rule.
Guys, straight guys, that is a tip.
They just think it's funny.
That is a tip. You want to get women... Start sucking.
If you want to be
right?
like a male chauvinist pig, the best way to do it is to suck cock.
Okay.
Because it almost gives you like a pass to do it. Because I don't know, it's not a good thing, is what I'm saying. It's just funny to see how.
It's good. I'm glad you said that.
It's just crazy to see how reliable it is sometimes. At college. The first time I tried this, got curious. I just walked up to some friends and I said, hey, what's up? And they're like, hey, Spider-Man, how you doing? Like, women ain't shit but hoes and tricks. And they're like, oh, that's right. Women ain't shit but hoes and tricks. And we all laughed. And it's like, oh my God, why aren't they mad at me?
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
And I was hoping to be. Oh, they are now.
Yeah. Aww.
It's okay. It always amazes me. What amazes me more than what gets people angry.
So is it hard for you to talk to guys? See, this would be the other question. So you are, pretty
Is
gay.
it hard to talk to guys? No, it's not hard to talk to guys. It's hard.
Is it hard to talk to guys you might be interested in?
No, it's hard to talk to guys who might be interested in me. If I'm interested in somebody, I tend to be more less comfortable around them. But if someone's interested in me and I'm not interested in them, then I get very uncomfortable.
Oh, if you're not interested. But if you are interested, you can just talk back to them.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
I'm not. I don't really socialize that much in that regard. I hang out with a lot of
you do have
gay
a
guys,
boyfriend now.
Yeah,
and it's like I've been with Bun for 13 years or something.
I've never been like a clubber though. I don't go out the bars or clubs or anything like that.
I've only been I go sometimes, and I still remember. I think my first time it was in college, of course, and we went down to Columbus. It was near a city, and like this club, and there's this guy who's like 35 or something hitting on me, and I was like, okay, I need to get out of here right now. Now that I'm like 31, yeah.
I feel like much more comfortable around gay guys actually, because that's like at least I have some kind of power over them. Oh, hey, this guy might want to suck my dick. That's something. If I'm just talking to like any like average straight person or any average lady is like, oh, this person doesn't want to suck my dick at all.
That's how you see the world. Huh?
Yeah. So they're not as liable.
Those
to
that do and those that don't.
Who does want to suck my dick? Who does not want to suck my dick? The people that do want to suck my dick, I want to hang around.
This explains so much about you. So much.
They're just distinct camps, I think. I have no problem with hanging out with people who don't want to suck my dick. It's just
you're just
second
less
class.
interested.
Second class. The second
wow,
class citizens in my life.
You guys heard it here. Harsh. I like the scenes with the family though, and it is partially because they were uncomfortable. I love the grandma, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm. The drunkard?
Darlene, yeah, the drunken grandma.
The drunkard. Everyone loves the drunkard.
I like the drunken grandma because she was grandma too. That was good. I do want to say I don't think we got there in this story, but be careful, writers. We have David and Desiree, and the grandma is Darlene. That's a lot of D's in a short story for names. I don't think it's a problem here, because we've got two characters, main characters. They both start with D, but one's a guy and one's a girl, so they're fairly easy to keep apart. If you can't keep them apart in the story, you have other problems. But anyway, it's something, especially when you get larger stories and larger casts, be careful of doing that. Make sure people can easily remember different characters. I don't know, you want to...
Well, I went through a period when I named all my characters with just J names, because I was getting mad at naming conventions. And I don't know, I was reacting negatively to people always asking, well, what should I name my characters? I don't care what you name your characters. Name them anything you want to.
I gotta say, I have a problem if I'm reading So Furry and somebody's having a sex scene with, like, Jay and Jason or something. And after a while, especially if you're going back and forth between them, as often sex scenes end up doing, like Jay did this, Jason, and I start getting, and sometimes they get confused too, and they'll obviously use the wrong name in the paragraph. So I'm just saying, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Jason and I don't know. Jason and David.
Margaret.
Sure, there you go. Jason and Mark. Pick something that's different sounding and starts differently. I've run into names like that, where where they may start with different letters, but they sound the same basically. It's just one different letter. It's like don't do that. Don't get yourself in that trouble. Don't do that to your readers. That's my little mini rant.
I think people ought to use more like quaint names in porn.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I named somebody Aloysius. Aloysius is a rad name for porn.
That is a good one.
Maximilian.
Ooh,
Maximilian.
It's kind of like, like Maximilian's gonna
Maximilian flopped out his donger.
Yeah. Okay. This got funny now. Especially if you use that archaic name,
Jebediah.
Jebediah.
I would suck all of
Jebediah whipped out his donger. Like that's. See, you laughed. It's a serious name in donger, so it doesn't work.
Oh well.
Jebediah. That's our album name. Jebediah's Donger. Alright,
Even if it was a straight story, it was still pretty good.
Yeah, that's a pretty glowing review from you. You could put that on the dust jacket. Quote, even though it was a straight story, it was still pretty good.
I say that every time.
Toonces, Bad Dog Book Club.
Don't I say that every time? Yeah, it was a straight story, but it was alright.
Yeah, that's good though. That's pretty glowing for you.
I got nothing against straight people. They're alright.
That's just wrong. If you that is the most racist thing. If you say, I've got nothing against X group of people, the fact that you had to say that.
What I mean to say is actually I really dislike straight people, but they'll hear that on, it's called dog whistle heterophobia. Uh-huh. Get it? Uh-huh. But I mean, okay, the straight people won't hear this because I'm talking to my gruff register. Uh-huh. They'll just hear silence on the radio. Uh-huh. But get what I'm saying now? No, I have nothing against straight people. I don't get it. I hate straight people. Uh-huh. Get it?
Guys. I again, apologies to our 3 listeners. One of whom is straight, and now we're gonna have 2. And then, where will we be? You can't do a show with 2 listeners.
The bisexuals are fine with me, too. I got nothing wrong with them.
Oh, yeah. Because they might want to suck your dick, according to you.
They might want to suck my dick.
They might want to.
They might want to.
Wow.
It's a possibility.
Wow. All right. Well, with that, folks, with his winning Mr. Personality over here, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Rechan, thank you for a fun story. I don't know. I liked it. You know, it's just that it was sentimental, but it wasn't false sentimentality in that it stayed away, and I applaud you, Rechan, for this. It stayed away from, at the very end, they part their ways and smile, but they didn't end up with her going, so you want to go on a date, not just friends or whatever. It didn't end up with, oh, now we've got to make this romantic. It stayed professional, which I think was true to the story. So I applaud you for not taking that extra dreaded, so-furry leap of, oh, now they're in love or whatever. So thank you. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. And thank you for sending it in. Sparf, thank you for reading it as always.
And Skip, thank you for dinner.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. So, and thank you to our 2 guest listeners already who are here sitting in and grinning at us. So, all right, guys, we will be back next week with a new story. We'll be back in a couple weeks. You'll be probably back in Pennsylvania.
Whatever. Who knows?
With the laptop of doom.
Yeah. It freaks like a dungeon gate.
It does. It's haunted. That's my theory, that the laptop is in fact haunted, but it does work, and it will get you through the next month or two till you can get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can write my anti-hetero treatises.
Well, you got to work on a little project for me.
What I need to do is I need to memorize all of the gay revolutionary. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies.
What was I just saying about, people who are anti-gay, need to back off and relax? Calm down. Calm down. Folks, that's it for us. We can't, he's out of control. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.
I'm gonna go suck a dick angrily.
Alright. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.